Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your co-host, Big Waz, aka Wazni Lambre, and back from sabbatical in Miami. My brother on the West Side, Nando Vila. What's up, bro?
I'm doing well. It's good to be back in the chair. Missed you.
Missed you too, as always. On today, well, first of all, big shout out to Pascal Robert of This Is Revolution podcast.
Sid.
Phil did last week, did a tremendous job. If you didn't get to check that out, go check that out. He takes a fucking chainsaw to the Black elite, to just the origins of Black nationalism and Black liberation, and he's just a fucking beast. And so thank you for coming.
We got more love for that episode than basically any episode, and I hear you guys. You guys want me to be replaced full time by Pascal, and I don't play it.
He is incredible, man. So thank you again for coming on, Pascal. I think we got a pretty dope show. I wanted to talk to Nando about this Gerard Carmichael HBO special that came out because it's called Rothaniel. It's on HBO Max. It's like nothing I've ever seen before in that medium. And I just thought it was pretty freaking cool. And I thought there was just a lot of interesting aspects about it that I do want to tackle with Nando on the show today. So at the back end, we'll talk about Gerard Carmichael's HBO special. But first up, man, we got to start with the Amazon workers from my hometown. Technically, I'm not from Staten Island, thank God, but it's New York City. They're one of the 5 boroughs. The Amazon warehouse in Staten Island voted to unionize. The first Amazon union in the United States of America. This is, you can't really understate how big of a deal this shit was. It's they did what they had to do in Bessemer, Alabama, meaning Amazon and their union busting cronies with all the shady shit that they did. It came out that they use unfair practices and all of that stuff. The people in Bessemer were up against it, but somehow, man, in Staten Island, which I'm interested to understand what you think about it, Nando. But I feel like because New York is such a unionized ass place, it makes it easier for those folks. Yeah. Not easy, but easier for those folks to organize and get this thing through. This is just, I don't know. This is one of the biggest labor wins in God only knows how long, Nando.
Well, Eric Blanc, who's a labor historian at Rutgers and writes a lot for Jacobin, he called it the most important labor victory in the United States since the 1930s.
Oh my God! Wow.
That it's and I think mostly because of who it was against and who it was by. Amazon is the mothership. Like Amazon is the economy these days.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of the nature of its business, the amount of people it employs. Mm-hmm. Since the pandemic, we talked about it on this show a lot. Like the amount of people who've just been swallowed up into Amazon's worker roles. Like they've been
over
on a hiring
500,000 since the pandemic started, which is that's insane. Crazy for one single employer. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so it is the mothership. Like it's like striking, in the heart of the Death Star, right? That's mm-hmm. Amazon. It's like it is the grand prize of organized labor. And then it's not just that. It's not that it was Amazon, but that it was won by an independent group of workers. Like it wasn't like in the Bessemer attempt, it was with the retail, wholesale, and dining services mm-hmm. union. Often these victories come, with the help of the SEIU or the Teamsters or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And which, by the way, we should do a show about the Teamsters election, which we talked, we talked a little bit about before, but the good guy won, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Teamsters do with new leadership. But it was an independent, it was called the Amazon Labor Union. It's a new thing. It was just a group of workers getting together and doing this. And I highly recommend an interview in Jacobin with a woman named Angelica Maldonado, who is a single mom. She's 26 years old, single mother, works the night shift at an Amazon warehouse in Staten Island. And she led the worker effort from inside the Amazon warehouse. Like, I can't even imagine what that woman must have gone through. You know, like any single mom, period, is like, I don't understand how they do it. A single mom who works the night shift on Amazon, a single mom who then goes on and organizes her warehouse at Amazon, like that's absolutely mind blowing. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it can be understated how significant this is. I mean, again, this doesn't mean that Amazon's now going to become a union company. They still have to work out their contract, and they're going to need other people to do it. But like we saw in Starbucks, you know, they're you know, there's a wave going on in Starbucks.
There is.
And so, yeah.
And yeah, the you know, Starbucks' ghoulish CEO, who we've talked about on the show today, he's trying his best at these town halls, but I think the toothpaste is out of the tube, if you will. Like, this thing isn't going back at Starbucks specifically. For sure. I think Amazon, of course, this is one factory. And like I said at the top of the show, this is New York City, a hotbed of labor activity where damn near everything in New York is unionized because, you know, it's just been a union town since forever. And, you know, I think that bears mentioning, but I'm just struck by just that it could happen at all with the way Amazon has been so militant in combating this stuff, you know, and truly a victory for the little guy. And, you know, and again, you wonder, like, if workers at other shops are going to be like, wait a second, they're going to be able to collectively bargain for the right to not just get treated like cogs in the machine, not just, you know, discarded, fired whenever Amazon feels like, you know, terrible conditions. They're going to be able to negotiate raises and wage hikes and benefit increases and all of that. I think other workers are going to see that and be like, hold up, man. And again, it's different everywhere, right? Like if you're making $17,000 in Bessemer, Alabama, I mean, not 17,000, excuse me, $17 an hour, $18 an hour in that town, you might look at it and be like, look, man, I think I'm pretty good. It's kind of whack, but I'm paying my bills. I could probably pay for a babysitter. I could do, me and my partner could do what we got to do and make it figure out. I'm not really willing to rock the boat here. It's a little bit different in New York City under those living conditions, under those, you know, the cost of living in New York, where people are just like, listen, man, this shit ain't gonna cut it. You guys are making way too much money to be dealing with us this way. This isn't some little engine that could. It's not a bunch of greedy ass fat back workers talking about, hey man, we want our piece of the cut for some little mom and pop operation that could barely get anything off the ground, barely paying their bills. This is Amazon. This is one of the richest countries, companies, might as well be a country.
Yeah.
This is one of the richest. This is one of the richest companies in the world, man. So it's like it only makes sense. And yeah, this is just one of the most encouraging things you could see.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at it from the Brandon administration, I think that the one thing that you can really point to as like a super meaningful difference between this administration and the previous administration, and even the previous one before that, is the behavior of his NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, because we covered the Bessemer fight on this show. They lost, but then the NLRB stepped in and invalidated that election. I was like, what? I was like, what? And they voted again, and it's much closer now. It's still, the result still hangs in the balance, because while it looks like the Amazon position has a slight lead, there's like 400 or 500 ballots that are still being examined by the NLRB that could tip the scale in the other direction. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like it's just remarkable that the government is stepping in on.
They're putting their finger on the scale
a little
and
bit,
they're doing it. And again, it's not like they're moving heaven or earth, but they're doing something for the little guy here, which just has never hasn't been the case since I don't know when's the last administration that's given a damn in this way. Like Barry, of course, paid a lot of lip service to this type of shit, but we know he's neoliberal scum and doesn't give a damn about any of this stuff. He doesn't give a damn about unionization. He doesn't give a damn about organized labor. Like he doesn't come from a world that values this or sees this as a way for people to achieve better lives for themselves. Barry's just like, hey man, we just need like 7 more Barack Obamas.
Yeah.
This thing, get a Barack at Goldman, get a Barack in the presidency, get a Barack at Amazon shit. And we'll get this thing flowing. That's all we need. We don't need to actually materially change the lives of the people at the bottom. And what I think is interesting, which I'm going to get to Joe Biden in a second, because he just gave a dope ass little speech to I forget what union he was talking to, but he talked about the rising unions and all of that. But I'm just want to talk about, let's get to our favorite people in the world, Nando, the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Crickets for the most part.
Yeah.
Which I think just speaks volumes, man.
Yeah.
Like it tells you everything these folks are about. Like, you know, Rashida Tlaib, not Rashida Tlaib. I know Ilhan Omar came out, of course, AOC, because she always knows how to hit the right beats on this stuff. Like a few people came out and said, this is amazing, this is awesome, let's do it. But Bernie, of course, but like crickets, Nando.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know Schumer did, because Schumer is terrified of an attack from his left, and he's in New York.
Yeah.
But like, not even all of the Congressional Progressive Caucus has come out and said something. But yeah, I mean, we were laughing before we recorded about Brandon's fiery speech in support of the unions. Like, we're going after Amazon. It's funny because like Brandon, the funny thing about him is that he goes off script, and so the handlers in the White House, they don't let him out much, and every once in a while, when they do, he just goes off script. Like with this one, he was like, there's no way that they were like, this is like what they wanted him to say. Or to come out this strong, or like with when he came out and said that Putin should be like, that we should do regime change in Russia, that Putin should be removed from power, like very, very delicate thing, very delicate situation over there in Russia and Ukraine. They're doing peace talks. You don't want to come out and fucking blow that up, and they have to like walk that back. So like he's just like, the old man who when they let him out every once in a while, he'll say something like mildly racist, but he'll also say something like, that is like really cool at the same time. You know what I mean? So it was just hilarious.
Yeah, he was talking to the North America's building trade unions, and at one point he said, by the way, Amazon, here we come. And then and he reiterated it, Nando. He said, no, I'm serious. Watch, we're gonna get them.
So good.
That is just not what those folks want to hear. And I forget the woman's name that's in the cabinet that's like really Jesus, she's like obsessed with antitrust. I forget this woman's name.
Lina Khan.
There you go, Lina Khan. Like he's got these little pockets in his administration that, like, let's face it, guys, did not exist anywhere in Barry's administration. Like this strain of thought, like even if you want to say it's defanged, whatever, he couldn't get that chick installed at the Fed, whatever. Dude, like this just did not exist in the last Democratic administration. Like Barry would just never do this. He would just never come at a huge business like that and say, yeah, that's right, the unions are taking it to your ass. Like he just wouldn't do it. And again, like we've been killing Joe Biden for I don't even know how long on this podcast. Joe Brandon on this podcast. But like you got to give him props when he does it. And again, like Nando says, the National Labor Relations Board, look, they did something for this union. Like you got to give them their props when they do something right, because, you know, for everything that they do right, there's like, again, like they postpone the student loan debt, which I know is just a naked whack ass ploy to try to pretend like they want to salvage the Democrats' midterm sort of outlook, which, you know, they basically kept the moratorium on the pause on student loan debt. They extended it to August 31st, which just make it permanent, whatever. Again, like Nando brings it up all the time on this show. Student loan debt does not belong to some private entity. Nobody's gonna miss this money.
No.
Nobody's
discipline tool.
It's just a straight up like, oh, you guys signed up for this, so you should have to pay it. Like, you guys got jerked. You guys got fucking screwed over in this deal, even though you went into it willingly. So you should have to live by it. Again, this isn't some, you know, they can't even say this is some private entity and say, well, this is savvy business and we should reward people who are savvy and great capitalists. This is the fucking United States government, the richest government in the world. We're putting motherfuckers in debt just to go to school so they could achieve some level of middle class status. Like this, it just doesn't make any sense that they don't want to cancel this outside of just it sets a bad precedent. But yeah, like, you know, Joe Byron's having a decent week. Joe Brandon, excuse me. And, you know, we decided to give him his props today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so we move on to, man, Gerard Carmichael, comedy writer, actor, stand-up comic, you know, just an all-around person in that world, in the comedy space. He came out with an HBO special called Rothaniel, and you know, the conceit of the special is that he's going to unburden himself of secrets that he's been holding on to for essentially his entire life. And man, I thought the structure of the special was really cool, where he talks about his family history of lies and sweeping things under the rug and things that go unacknowledged and all of this stuff, like to where he gives this slow reveal about his dad and all of this stuff. And, you know, essentially comes out as a gay man, which I just found interesting in like a million different ways. First of all, I watched his HBO special called Home Movies, whenever that came out, which was, I think was like 2019. And in that special, he tells his mom that he's had sexual relations with men before. Like, he said it 3 years ago. He didn't say I'm gay. He kind of he basically slow rolled it and was basically like posited as bisexuality. That same year, Tyler, the Creator, puts out an album dealing, which has a lot of themes about sexual fluidity. Gerard Carmichael is on one of the skits / interviews, which like lets you know that he's, you know, sort of going through this whole thing. But I just thought the structure of the special was incredible. But I also thought it was interesting because, like, especially for Black entertainers, homosexuality is still seen kind of as a third rail topic. It still is, stupidly, but it still is. And so I thought it was just interesting how he unspooled this whole thing.
Yeah, and it reminded me of the episode that we did with Bertrand Cooper, because you know, Gerard Carmichael, you know, is a working class, like grew up working class. You know, his father was a truck driver. And you know, that's just increasingly rare in the kind of highest cultural spaces. I mean, I'd never seen one of his stand-up specials before. I was like aware of who he was, but I was not like super into it. I knew that he had worked on some stuff with Bo Burnham, and I remember watching Bo Burnham's special, the pandemic one, that I quite liked. And Bo Burnham directed this one. But
extremely slickly directed, by the way. Like,
yeah,
it's got a lot of style and it's cool.
Yeah.
The visual flair of this thing.
Yeah, it's more than like a regular stand-up special, like Comedy Central style. Like, it has a little bit more artsiness to it. And yeah, I just thought it was I thought it was very clever the way the misdirection, right? Like, because he was like, he sets up his mom as like this victim sympathetic figure to this like philandering dad, and that he comes from like a family of philanderers, like his grandfathers had like
Had
fucking, one of them had
23
like
kids or something sick like
outside
that.
of his marriage.
Yeah.
You know, if he had more kids with the
That's
wife,
country shit, by the way. That don't
yeah, that's
happen.
like 30 kids.
That don't happen in Queens. I'm just
No,
telling you.
no. Yeah,
I'm just telling
yeah.
you.
They can't like live anywhere, you know,
Bro,
in the city.
it's not
Like, where are they?
happening. It's not happening.
But I remember thinking, like, man, that must be so stressful. Like, you know, and but then the kind of the twist. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it or whatever, is that you know, that really the one relationship that he's having the most trouble with in this journey is with his mom. And that's like the acceptance he craves the most. You know, listen, I think that usually I would be kind of against this kind of comedy, which is like a therapy session instead of like jokes. You know what I mean? Like, I prefer, like, there's been a trend in recent years of like the sad comic, like just saying, like, talking about how
Dave's done
sad
a
he is.
few of them. Yeah. Dave's done a few where he's literally
Or like,
smoking a cigarette and sitting on a stool and crying about shit.
Yeah, like the Hannah Gadsby, the Nanette thing, like a lot of like Louis C.K.'s before he got canceled, but like his latter shit is like just like, you know, his show I couldn't stand because it was just like, hey, look at me, how sad and pathetic I am, and you know, even like the Master of None, like there was like a time where like every show was like about a sad comedian about his personal life, right? And I was like, dude, just like, what happened to jokes? Like, what happened to like just like in
Gerard dropped some jokes in this thing.
Yeah.
Like there was some laugh out loud moments in this thing.
Yeah. No, he totally did. Like, I mean, when he was making fun of his brother for not making as much money as him, that was really funny. You know,
like he said, it's not even close.
Yeah. And like, you know, when he was talking about like his uncle Junebug, which I was like, is that like what? Like, is that like a nickname or a real name? Like, I don't understand. Like,
Junebug is a common nickname in the Black community. It's
okay.
It's like, I don't even know what to compare it to, but yeah, it's a thing that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, it was definitely like like utterly captivating, you know, like, and he has this kind of very loose style, like that I would describe. Like, it wasn't like polished. You got this. I mean, I know that the really great performers can make it seem this way when it's really not.
He's absolutely performing, but like it's an unorthodox way of delivering these lines, man.
Yeah. Like it looks like he's kind of just loosely going through it, but like the structure is very clever in that how he sets up the reveals, and then the audience gets into it. Like, you know, the whole thing is like he starts off with this tease about that he's going to reveal his name,
his real name,
ultimately is Nathaniel, you know, which is like a ridiculous name.
Yes,
you know,
it was probably Roland and Nathaniel, and he was
or like Roger.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, exactly.
As a person with a fucked up name, man, I laughed so much.
So good. And it's funny, like at one point, like he's like getting into it, it's like this like really, you know, heartfelt moment about like his relationship with his father or someone, and someone from the audience just goes like, you still haven't told us your name.
Dude, the audience participation part where he's doing crowd work throughout this whole thing, like he's doing so much, he's juggling so much. And again, like, yes, he reveals himself to be a gay person, which he was closeted. He even mentioned in the special, like he said, I thought I'd never come out. So just kind of gives you an idea of the weight. But why I wanted to talk about it with you, Nando, is because I'm adjacent to so much of Black entertainment people, meaning people in the music industry, et cetera, et cetera. Like this notion of closeted people in entertainment is like, it dominates so much of the conversation that people have in private. And so that's why I could feel the weight of what this dude was doing, because it dominates so much conversation. And I know he's been he's been on both sides where closeted people are talking about what it's like to be closeted, and he's heard people who didn't know he was gay talk about other closeted people. Like, I know he's had those experiences, so the weight of it for me was different because, like, I just don't think it happens with white entertainers in this way. Not that there aren't closeted white entertainers, but it's like Kevin Spacey, for instance, is like, he's always been making jokes about his sexuality in his work and in his public appearances, but like everybody knew the dude was gay. You feel me? Like everybody,
Anderson Cooper.
It's like whatever. Anderson Cooper, like you name it. Everybody kind of knew it was gay, but like with black, like even so, like Tyler the Creator, right? I guess he's out as bisexual now. And I don't mean to put quote tweets. I'm not trying to be homophobic and none of that. I'm just saying like that's what he's calling it. Like so. I remember, I think he dropped a song called I'm Gay. And like he came into the rap space as somebody who's a really like trolly type of person. But I remember immediately knowing like, oh shit, Tyler the Creator just came out the closet. Like he did it in his Tyler way, whereas like people weren't sure if he was trolling or not, but he came out the closet. Then one day he went on Hot 97 in New York with Funkmaster Flex, legendary radio show. He did like a freestyle and he says some of the gayest, like he's talking about sucking dick and doing all kinds of shit as a troll job on the freestyle. And like so I would encourage everybody go watch Tyler the Creator's Funkmaster Flex freestyle. It's like a master class in trolling. Like he knows Flex is like this conservative New York hip hop, blah, blah, blah. And he does the gayest freestyle possible on there. But again, even Tyler, who's like huge artist now, Grammys, all of this shit, even he feels the need to sort of soft roll out his, coming out as a gay person. Then, you just hear all of this shit. You're just you're always hearing like, oh, such and such is gay. Oh, such and such is closeted. Yeah. Oh, I heard such and such be having little boys at his crib. Or like it dominates so much of the conversation. That's why I just thought it was so powerful that this dude specifically did that.
Yeah. No, I mean it was. I know that. I know that like there's certain spaces where it's still not like. I mean, like sports. I mean, sports is the obvious one, right?
Forget about it.
I can't imagine like what a weight must be lifted off Gerard's shoulders. Because I'm sure. It was funny like when he was talking about his best friend. He was like, like he was talking pretty openly about like how there are different reactions from the people in his lives, and he's saying his best friend was cool. Like, and I don't know if he was like joking or if the best friend was like actually kind of mad, where he was like, dude, I feel like you just tricked me into having a gay best friend. Like I didn't sign up for this shit.
I didn't sign up for this.
Like
and again, like so many things he's walking you through are the type. I like it because he's answering all the questions people would want to fucking know. He's like he's talking. He was like, the part where he's like, yo, I'm telling y'all, like, there's been times I was in the shower, like, bro, you're gay. Like, wow. Like, so many dope moments in the special. I'm curious to see, what type of conversation this thing sort of springs, because Gerard Carmichael is not like, he's not Kevin Hart. He's not some huge celebrity, even though he did SNL and all of this stuff. He's done some of the stuff to promote the work, but like, I'm curious to see how this lives in the culture. And I'm curious to see if this would encourage more people to let go and let God. Cause man, Nando, I swear to God, there's like, I got to listen like 4-5 of them off the top of my head where I'm just like, just put it out there already. Nah, you can't do that.
I'm kidding.
Just put it out there already, man. Like, just let it go. Be free, my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I would encourage everybody to go watch that thing, man. Make sure you read everything that you can on the Amazon unionization. Jacobin was all over that thing. Plenty of outlets all over that. Make sure you're supporting Count the Dings on patreon.com/Count the Dings. Every single Count the Dings offering. We're out of here, man. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Later.